As the election season heats up, a focus on something we could all use not just a little, but a whole lot more of: civility. A prominent Republican and Democrat from a major swing state joined me on how there can be such a thing as healthy disagreement. Remember that? Time flies in a time of crisis. 60 days until Election Day, and we are more divided than ever. A new poll finds majorities of Republicans, Independents, and Democrats all say that the politics, despite this pandemic, got less civil over the summer. And on a scale from 0 to 100, with 100 being close to a civil war, voters gave our current climate a mean score of 73.2. And things are even more tense in swing states like Michigan, a state President Trump won by just over 10,000 votes, now showing Joe Biden with a steady lead there in post-convention polling. I want to bring in Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial page editor for the Detroit News, Nolan Finley, and Stephen Henderson. He's also a Pulitzer Prize winner who now hosts Detroit Today on WDET Radio. Together, these two gentlemen have created the much-needed Civility Project. We got to start, of course, with civility. Stephen, your state's former Republican governor, Rick Snyder, my favorite Twitter handle, One Tough Nerd, just endorsed Joe Biden because he says he'll bring civility back. Nolan, you're a conservative. Stephen is progressive. Things have gotten worse this summer. You would think a pandemic would bring us together. What gives, Nolan?
Well, first I want to say Stephen is the only Pulitzer Prize winner in this couple, so we congratulate him. We have, over the last few years in this country, particularly in states like Michigan, where there is a great divide, we've forgotten how to talk with each other, and all we can do really is scream at each other. And we haven't taken the time to figure out why the other person thinks and feels the way they do. We're just intent on converting them to our point of view. And that's the point of the Great Lakes Civility Project that Steve and I are involved with.
So, Stephen, what are you going to do? This state of the world that Nolan just laid out, yep, that's where we are. How are you going to solve it?
So, I mean, we talk about a couple of different principles that we think help people relate to each other without being disagreeable. One of them is listening, really listening to each other, not just not talking and thinking about what am I going to say as soon as this other person is quiet again, but really listening to what they're saying, trying to identify with where they're coming from. We also talk about the idea of understanding that people are more than the sum of their politics, right? One of the things that Nolan and I have done really successfully is get to know why the other person believes the things that they believe. Where does that come from? What are the experiences that they've had that lead them to the beliefs that they have had? When you do it that way, I think it's a lot easier to avoid some of the antipathy that we see in the political arena right now.
All right. Well, Nolan, what Stephen is saying makes perfect sense theoretically, but let's talk about where we are. We are in a health crisis. We're in an economic crisis. Right. Do we really expect that people are going to turn the page now and be more thoughtful and start listening at a time when you got life and death on the line?
Well, it's essential that they do, because we have important problems to solve at the community level, at the national level. And if we aren't talking with one another, if we don't learn, as Steve said, to listen, if we don't stand back from this great divide and try to figure out some practical solutions. I mean, Steve and I aren't advocating that everybody has to agree. Everybody has to have the same opinion. We certainly don't. For a decade now, we have been fighting. We have been arguing. We have drastically different solutions to the problems of our community, our state, our nation, but we have learned to talk about those in a civil manner, walk away friends, and come back to talk again. I think that's the only way we're going to get to where we need to be in this country.
Yeah, but Stephen, can you do that at a time with so much disinformation out there? We can't have a discussion about whether we agree on something when there's not even a basic set of facts as a framework.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that that the environment right now is toxic for this kind of exchange, and that's why one of the things we really emphasize is that one-on-one interpersonal exchange, where you can block out some of what is going on around you, where you cannot have social media in your ear the whole time, ratcheting up antipathy. What we're focusing on is the idea and the opportunity for people to interact with the people closest to them, people in their communities, people in their families, people at their jobs, and to actually focus on something other than what they disagree on as a way to get to a civil way to disagree. And like Nolan said, we're not shy about disagreeing. I mean, the two of us really get after each other, and there is often passion and there is sometimes anger. But you've got to have more than that in order to be able to continue the dialogue in a way that produces solution.
Well, I want to continue this dialogue with the two of you. Unfortunately, gentlemen, I am out of time. You both know how TV works, but I want you both to come back. I always welcome respectful, educated disagreements. Gentlemen, thank you. That wraps up this hour. I'm Stephanie Rule. Thanks for watching.